We are back. We are back. Did you miss us? Did you miss us? We are the Sammy, Nicole, and Fifi show, and we are coming to you guys live and direct from our beautiful backyard on this nice July evening. And we're coming to you as the Sammy, Nicole, and Fifi show. Again, for those of you who are new to us, we are a dynamic mother and daughter duo. Okay, dynamic, baby. Where we discuss all things love, life, and relationships. Okay?
Yeah.
And for tonight's topic, Mom, what are we going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about something that's real serious that is going on a lot.
It's been going on for forever, actually.
Forever, but it has been brought forth to the forefront recently in our community, and not just in African American community, but just in general in society. Mental health. Mental health. Where do we start?
Well, I would say with mental health, I think as a community, as a general community, I think that we don't take mental health as serious as we should be, or at least we're just starting to. If I were to go even further or pinpoint it, I definitely think that in minority communities such as Black or Latino, Hispanic communities, we don't take mental health as serious as we should. I think a lot of times in our communities, because we have such a strong religious and spiritual backgrounds and ideologies, that a lot of times we think that we can simply just pray away the depression, the anxiety, or the schizophrenia, or the bipolar disorder, and that everything will be okay and fine and dandy, rather than actually understanding, like, no, this is a serious health disorder. This is a disease that I'm dealing with, you know. I think we're so focused on, like, we're so quick to acknowledge and validate, like, physical diseases like cancer or arthritis or Alzheimer, but when it comes to, like, mental illness, like things that's dealing with, like, your brain and your chemical imbalances, we tend to not value it as much because we can't actually, like, see it, you know. Whereas if somebody, you know, has cancer or something, you can see the hair loss or the loss of weight, things of that nature.
Right. And I just wanted to say, you know, just from growing up and, you know, back when I was a little girl, you know.
From a Generation X perspective.
From a Generation X perspective. Just growing up, you know, I remember, you know, mental illness, it runs heavy on my maternal side of my family. And I just remember, you know, just growing up hearing my family members say, oh, she crazy, she had a mental breakdown, oh, she crazy, all her kids crazy, everybody crazy. So it was just like, you know, it was like a taboo, you know, and you were shunned if you had some mental illnesses, if you were schizo, or if you were bipolar, you know, anxiety disorder, you were shamed, and you were, you know, you were like kicked out of the family. No one wanted to have anything to do with you because just from ignorance, just not knowing how to deal with that, you know.
Ignorance and fear,
you know, from growing up as a Generation X. I remember that as a child, you know, or, you know, she on mental health, she on medication for her nerves bad, you know. And just now that I look back, you know, on that situation, how ignorant, you know, my family members sound, you know, not knowing, you know, ignorance, it's a dangerous thing. It really is.
It is.
Not knowing and not having, you know, awareness of a certain illness, because being mental ill, it's an illness and it's treatable. But if you in a family where it's shunned and
there's no support,
it can be
harder to deal with, and it can serve as a trigger too.
Exactly, and it's in your DNA. It's in your blueprint.
Chemical imbalance. It's not something that people are making up, and I think thankfully with our generation as a millennial, I think that people are starting to finally take mental health more
More
serious.
serious.
People are finally starting to,
Right.
no longer make so much of a
Right.
joke about mental illness, especially when you see people who commit suicide, like the lady who was what was that big designer name? That lady,
Kate Spade.
Kate Spade, and Anthony Boudadone or something like
Yeah.
that. Forgive me if I pronounce his last name incorrectly, but I think when you see people like that, then us as a society start to go, oh, maybe depression is a real thing. Maybe we really do need to pay attention to people who are suicidal. Maybe I
Right.
need to pay attention to that family
Right.
member or friend that tweets about
And
being
I think that, like you
suicidal or makes
said,
a Facebook post about suicide,
It's-
committing suicide, because it's a real thing and it's serious and it's not something that you should take lightly or you
or
should
make
make a
fun
joke
of
about.
or be
Yeah.
ostracized out of your family because you have a mental illness,
Right.
and not getting help for your family members, and like you said, as a millennial, it's better for you all. Well, it's not better because the mental illness is still there, but I think that
But
the
people are more
exposure,
aware.
people are more
And
aware, and they're not as
access to
ignorant about
information
it.
to be educated about
Right,
it.
but I think as African Americans back in that time when I was growing up, we were so ignorant about it. And if you came from a family that wasn't educated or didn't, make they self aware of certain things, so they just made a really something really terrible into something that made you feel bad about it instead of being aware and doing your research. That's why I say, if you want to go read, people, it's always good to pick up a book, educate
Reading
yourself
is fundamental.
before you start to minimize people and ostracize them out of your family because they have a mental illness. Try to help them.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with prayer for those of us that are
Exactly, and that's what I heard when I was growing up.
You need
Let's
a little
pray
bit
about
more than
it.
prayer. Sometimes it's nothing wrong with going
There's
to a
resources.
therapist. That's another issue that I find within minority communities. As minorities, we've gone through a plethora of traumatic experiences. And I personally think, it is my personal opinion, that we all could talk to somebody.
Yes.
We all could get our head checked out.
Yes.
We all could stand to talk to a therapist, because we all have gone through traumatic experiences, and there's nothing wrong with talking to someone and really just expressing how you feel and getting it out, going to a neutral party who knows nothing about you to really just help you sit down and talk and work things out. And if you happen to find that you need medication, there's nothing wrong with that, and I know there is
instead of self-medicating, we tend to self-medicate.
Whether it be alcohol, drugs, sex, food, shopping, if anything, those things only make the situation worse. They don't make it better.
No. So I just think that it's important that we be aware and we don't be ignorant to the fact that mental illness is serious, and it's for real, and it's okay to go get help. I know when my father passed, I needed to talk to someone because I felt like there was a void missing, and I started to feel like I needed to tell somebody.
You were grieving.
I was grieving, and I grieved for a long time. So I went to talk to somebody, and it helped me with my grieving process. So it is okay to go and talk to someone. And like Samantha said, we all could go and sit down and talk to a neutral party.
Yeah, we all could.
Because we all go through things. It's just life. God said that we would go through things, and that's why He's given us the resources. He's given us the power of prayer. He's given us the Bible, but He's also given us help in human mankind, and that's a therapist or a psychologist, psychiatrist, to help us. And I think it's okay to go get help. It is okay. You have so many people walking around nowadays, and that's why I always say, you have to watch who you mess with, because you don't know what people are going through. You don't know how their day is going. You don't know what they've been through or what's going on in their world. So you have to watch how you treat people and interact with people, because you never know what people are going through. And people may not, they may feel like, well, if I go to a therapist, people are going to talk to me. But we all have, if you have insurance through your employer, you have what's called EAP, Employee Assistance Program, and they pay for mental health treatments where you
get some sessions for free.
You can get some sessions for free. you know, through your insurance carriers. So there's all kind of resources out there, and you don't have to feel like, you know, like I said, when I was growing up, I would often hear my family, oh, she crazy. You know, I had aunties, oh, she crazy. She had a nervous breakdown, and she this and
they was going
she
through
that.
their own nervous
And
breakdown
they were going through their
themselves.
own nervous breakdown themselves.
Pot, meat, kettle.
Just out of ignorance. And you know, I'm not talking about them, because now that I've grown
They
up,
didn't know any better.
and I'm older and I've gotten educated, I realize, and I look back, you know, on my family members, they didn't know any better, because you come from a generation of being taught the same thing after generation after generation after generation. So when I had my child, I broke it. We're going to get educated, and we're going to learn about things that actually affect our society. And mental health affects our society, and there's help out there, and you can go get it. So we just wanted to talk about that today, because I think it's a very, very, a very predominant situation right now in society. And so we just wanted to talk about that. You know, we talk about a lot of fun things about relationships on this channel, but we also want to touch on things that actually really affect us every day. And mental health affects us every day. It may not be in our immediate family. It may be outside our family. You know, you may have a co-worker that's experiencing anxiety
or
depression, you know, and you have to be sensitive to that. And even now, when you go fill out a job application, there's a section on there that asks you, do you have any emotional issues
or any mental health issues? Yeah.
Do you suffer from anxiety? There's a whole section now that employers are putting on their application by law, because they have to, you know that how to treat you and how to interact with you, and it's a disability. It's a disability. It's considered a disability.
And it's nothing to be ashamed of.
And it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Remove that stigma that's associated with anxiety and depression.
Yes.
You know, it's not just something you can snap out of.
Right.
You are chemically imbalanced.
Right.
And I don't think people should be made to feel ashamed or ostracized, like Mom said. And also, there are some really great resources out there. One website in particular is called Therapy for Black Girls.
Wow.
And so if you know, are in that demographic, or even if you're not, and I'm pretty sure it's basically a website where it's a list of healthcare professionals. So these are licensed and certified therapists and psychiatrists, and they are predominantly Black women, African American women, and they are here to provide counseling and therapy sessions for women of color. Because let's be honest, y'all, you know, it helps to have a therapist who can understand where you're coming from. Not saying they necessarily have to be the same color, race, or gender as you, but it is important to find a therapist that can at least sympathize or empathize with where you're coming from, your culture. You know, that's important. So that way they can kind of really understand where exactly you're coming from. Right. Because you know, we do have different experiences in this country and,
we deal
globally
with things
as people of color. So I think it is very important to, whatever race, color, creed your therapist is, to make sure that they are aware of that and sensitive to that fact. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, again, it's called therapyforblackgirls.com. Check it out, y'all.
So we just wanted to come and talk to you guys about that, and we appreciate you taking time out and watching our channel. And we hope that you continue to watch. We appreciate all of our subscribers. And please share our channel and
comment, share. Let us know what you think about mental health. Like, why do you think it's such a taboo to talk about mental health issues in minority communities? You know, any community where it's based off of people of color, whether it's African American, Latino, Indian, Asian, you know, Indians, or whatever minority. Why do you think it's so taboo? Let us know down in the comment section.
Thank you.
All right. On that note, I am Sammy Nicole. This is Fifi, and we are the Sammy Nicole and Fifi Show, and we are signing out. Until next time, guys. Bye.